Mountain biking is a sick sport. Now, whether you're a beginner or an absolute pro, we all do make a few mistakes now and again, be it mechanically based or skills based. So today in this video, we're going to identify a few and hopefully help you overcome them. So before we do dive in though, why not show some love for the channel by clicking that subscribe button, maybe the old bell as well, so that you get notifications when the new vids are coming out. And as always, a thumbs up is much appreciated. But let's get cracking. Checking your bike. Now, myself included in this, a lot of us are guilty of just neglecting the bike from time to time. And as we know, mountain biking by its very nature literally rattles the bolts out of your bike. So going through the thing, making sure it's all safe and up together is absolutely key. Now, we've done it in the past. The good old M-check is really important here and is a great way of going through the bike methodically so that you can check every single nut and bolt almost, or every key area of the bike. So you can start at the front or the back with this, but you can go rear mech, wheel, brake, etc. Then you can go up to the seat post, you know, the clamps, things like that, and then working your way down to the bottom bracket area, checking cranks are tight, pedals, linkage bolts, things like that. Then we'll work our way up and over to the stem and the cockpit, make sure everything's in order, headset's tight, things like that. And then down to the front wheel, the axle's tight, the disc's not bent, or you know, the rotor and things like that are all done up nice and tight. That way you can get through the whole bike and make sure it's nice and safe before you head out for a spin. All right, this next one's a bit of a gem. Now, hands up if you are, let's say, guilty. I'm going to put both hands up because I've done it far too often, of not looking after your suspension enough. Now, we're talking things like oil changes, seals, general maintenance, you know, the internals, a full strip down maybe. Because it's sort of an often overlooked part, or we take it for granted, it just works, it's just there. And actually, sometimes it can be quite confusing and we don't know how to tackle it ourselves. The gaps between maintaining these gets pretty long. The main cause of suspension wear and tear and problems is the elements. Mountain biking obviously happens outside, so dirt, grime, grit, dust, all gets in around the seals and on the stanchions and just tends to wear things away. So as a general rule of thumb, an air can service on the rear shock or a lower leg service on the forks should be done around every 50 hours or so. It's not too complicated to do as long as you've got the right tools. And actually, Doddy over on Tech has done some great how-to videos on stripping things down and rebuilding them. A full service, well, you're kind of looking yearly for that, and that's actually a full rebuild top to bottom. And you can get this done at a proper suspension centre. There's many dotted around probably the country that you live in, or you can post your stuff off to get that done as well. Well worth doing to get those shocks buttery smooth. We have all dragged our brakes a lot then when it comes to mountain biking because they're a good safety blanket to have, just covering the brakes there and holding them so that we can slow down even quicker. But it's not ideal and it's not the quickest or most effective way to brake. So this is a great example. We've got this really fast section of trail here into this right-hander. Now what you want to be doing is doing all your braking before the corner so that you can carry good speed and good momentum around the turn. And it's also going to be one less thing to think about, so you can focus on technique, where your pedals are, your body weight, etc. And the suspension's working as effectively as possible. Carrying that speed up until the turn and doing your braking at the last minute is also going to help you skip over those braking bumps that are there before as well. So you are going to be an absolute trail shredder. Oh, it's so hot and dry and dusty. Or look, it could be wet, muddy, horrible and cold. Do you know what? The last thing you want to do at the end of a ride sometimes is clean your bike. You just want to go inside, you want to chill, shower, have a cup of tea. I know I do sometimes, but this is a bad thing to do, people. Do not neglect your bike because it's going to help degrade it even worse. So things like the components will wear out quicker, chains will seize up and rust, drivetrain, brake pads, pistons on your brakes, all these kinds of things can really be affected if you don't actually maintain and look after them and clean them all fairly soon after your ride, even if that's just a quick rinse off to get all the dust off out around the seals and the chain and a cheeky lube. And same with the mud, just get the worst off of it and then put it away and you can go back and do it properly the following day. This one is a mistake that can actually cause you to crash and is pretty dodgy is clipping your pedals. Try to keep an eye on the trail. Reading the terrain ahead is going to help avoid making this kind of mistake. So if it's really rough, really ragged, well then you're probably going to want to avoid pedaling through that kind of section. The same again, if you're hitting a big jump or you're bottoming out, you should never really be trying to pedal when you're bottomed out the suspension. Wait for it to rebound and come up to its full stroke. This is something you'll learn over time and is a mistake that you will make, but it's something you'll quickly get rid of. So this next one is going to cost you speed out on the trail, and it's not looking far enough ahead. It's a mistake that's all too common, especially with beginners, because we spend a lot of our time sort of very focused on the immediate foreground, almost on our front wheel. And you'll notice that actually, once you start picking up speed, the faster you go, the further ahead you need to look. It's going to help with things like spotting obstacles, spotting other riders on the trails, reading the trail, seeing turns. Oh, that's pretty good. You also want to try and be looking far enough ahead that you're almost a feature ahead on the trail. So if I was coming down here, before the rock garden, I'd be looking at the rocks and picking my line. And then as I'm on the rock garden, I'm looking at this drop and the next one. That way I can set up and prepare myself for what's coming. So jumps are probably one of the most fun things you can do on a mountain bike. However, they can result in some of the scariest moments. And one of those feelings is that feeling of getting bucked, all your weight going over the front of the bike. Now, this normally results in sort of maybe a poor technique, or you're really tired at the end of the day where your arms and your legs are just not working and your technique kind of goes out the window. Now, sometimes you can bring this back by dropping your heels and shifting your butt all the way back as far as you can go to try and bring it back and get his weight as far back as you can. But it is a mistake that does happen. So practicing on small jumps first and working your way up is a great way of sort of avoiding that hopefully happening. My last mistake then, and one we all make regardless of ability, is crashing. Now, it's happening to all of us. It's part of mountain biking and it's something that's unavoidable. It's just a matter of when. But all I can recommend here is just wear the right protection. Always wear a helmet. Doesn't have to be a pink one. I know what you people think of the pink lid out there, but just make sure you can wear the protection that you've got and that you take the precautions that you can. But anyway, I'm done. Do you know what? Let me know if there are any more mistakes that you can think of in the comments down below. But I'm out of it. I'm going to go shred some Whistler park laps. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you later.